Welcome back, everyone. News out of the world of hockey, Monday, August 14th, 2023. The story of Russian hockey player Rodion Amirov has died from brain cancer at age 21. And in my 32 years on this earth, I don't recall ever seeing a 30 or a 21-year-old dying from brain cancer. Although with the number of toxins and chemicals and metals that are in the foods, a lot of people at younger ages are getting cancer. So, but I have no doubt that this man did not die of cancer. He was murdered as a perfect ritual for the upcoming NHL season. Because if you've been following my channel for any extended period of time, I've been talking about how since September of 2016, why I fully expect the Toronto Maple Leafs to win the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals, breaking the 57-year curse. And I always talk about Canada and the number 24. If you're on my Patreon page where we decode the World Hockey Championships, the World Juniors, the Olympics, how many times have we talked about Canada and 24 just nailing hockey futures left and right? You can just murder with Canada and 24 in the tournaments, although from a financial standpoint, picking Canada to win a hockey tournament, not exactly the greatest payout. But what I want people to understand is this man, first of all, if you're new here, we talk about the language of Gematria, the ancient practice of coding letters into numbers. We talk about four base ciphers, the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and the alphabetic order in the reverse with the rules of numerology. So any word, phrase, or letter is going to have a numerical value attached to it. Now, he dies on the 226th day of the year, the day leaving 139 days left in the year. If you know numbers, you'll know that 139 is the 34th prime number. In Gematria, the word murder sums to 34. Notice his name has perfect overlap with Jesuit order and Toronto Maple Leafs. This man was a prospect of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Jesuits, who are the military order of the Catholic Church, are the ones who operate by this language of letters and numbers every single day. So if you take anything from this video, it's this right here. He has died exactly 57 days before the start of the upcoming NHL season, October 10th, in a season where I fully expect the Leafs to break the 57-year drought. Now, he died in Germany, right? He died in Munich. Now, Germany is not unlike a lot of they're a little different than a lot of European countries. They don't produce as many NHL players as, say, Finland, Sweden, Russia, the Czech Republic. But one German NHL player that everyone knows is Leon Draisaitl. And I want you to see how his birthday is October 27th. And from his last birthday, his 27th birthday, to the date this man died was exactly 291 days later. And if the Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year, they will get their 291st playoff win all time. And it's got me, I've been trying to think about where they're going with the opponent. And I've been speculating for about a couple years now that it's highly probable that we get the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers. Am I saying for sure we're getting Oilers and Leafs? No. But what I will say is this man's death is synced up with both Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, the two-headed monster for Edmonton. And when you look at McDavid, he was born on January 13th, and this man died 153 days before McDavid's upcoming 27th birthday. And again, 153 Rodion Amirov is 153. So is Jesuit Order. And his name has, his surname and Oilers, they have perfect overlap in all 4 base ciphers. This is very rare in Gematria. And it's just got me thinking, is this telling us that we're going to get Oilers and Leafs? Because remember, part of the reason why I've been saying the Leafs will break the curse in 2024 is because, again, everything Canada is 24. Okay, in Gematria, the most simple cipher, the alphabetic order, Canada is 24. C the third letter, A the first, N the 14th. A the first, D the fourth, A the first, added up, it's 24. The Montreal Canadiens have won 24 Stanley Cups. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, resides at 24 Sussex Drive in Ottawa. The last time 2 Canadian teams met in the Stanley Cup was 1989. 89 is the 24th prime number. The Toronto Blue Jays won their first World Series by winning the 89th World Series. The Toronto Raptors, who play in the same arena as the Maple Leafs, won their only NBA Finals in their 24th season. The 1924 Stanley Cup was the Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Tigers. It all comes back to mathematics. Remember those math equations you had to do in school where you would be given a list of numbers and it would say something like 2, 4, 6, 10? What is the missing number? It's the same thing here. What's the next logical number in the sequence? Okay, we had the last time 2 Canadian teams met in the Stanley Cup was in 89. 89, the 24th prime. What's the next logical number, right? And again, I probably should have put it up here, but in the most pure cipher, the dark blue cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the word hockey is 31. The last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup was 1993. That was the Montreal Canadiens. For the record, Montreal's 93. From 93 to 2024 is exactly 31 years later, right? Hockey, Canada's sport. So I've been leaning on the fact that we could very well see a Leafs-Oilers Stanley Cup final. It just seems like Edmonton, that they've been hyping them up. It seems like as good as they are, at some point they have to put them in the finals. And I've been saying for, by the time 2024 gets here, it'll be 8 years, talking about the Leafs, Canada, 24, and the 57-year curse. But just to close out here, in closing, I want you to see how this Amirov's birthday, his birthday is October 2nd. Now, the Leafs and the Oilers, their first game is, of course, in 2024. Both games are. And he died 106, or a total span of 107 days before January 16th. And that makes perfect sense because this upcoming NHL season will be the 107th season of the NHL, but only the 106th season of play. That's because the 2004-2005 season never happened due to the NHL lockout. And it is interesting as well that on March 23rd, that's the day leaving 283 days left in the year, the Leafs if the Leafs win the Cup this year, they'll get their 283rd playoff win as the Toronto Maple Leafs. They used to be called the Toronto Arenas and the Toronto St. Patrick's. So they can get their 291st all-time playoff win, but they can get their 283rd as the Leafs because they have 267 wins as the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can validate this by going to records.nhl.com, hovering your mouse over playoffs, scrolling down, and clicking on standings. Now, the upcoming season will conclude on April 18th. Typically, that's a Thursday. So typically, the Stanley Cup playoffs will begin about a day or two later. So I'm assuming April 20th is probably the start of the playoffs, and it makes sense, right? 20/4, National Hockey League's 204. The Stanley Cup final start date really could be June 7th. That's a date with 57 numerology. We're talking about a player for the Leafs dead 57 days before the start of the season. Leafs can break the 57-year drought. June 7th checks all the boxes. 57 date numerology, as well as being the 159th day of the year, the day leaving 207 days left in the year. Edmonton, Alberta. Yes, I missed a comma in there. But Edmonton, Alberta, 159. Toronto Maple Leafs, 207. June 7th, the day leaving 207 days left in the year, the 159th day of the year. And remember, that's 6/7, right? June 7th, 6/7. 1967 was exactly 57 years ago, the last time the Leafs won the Cup. So June 7th, it checks all the boxes. We can't discount the possibility of June 5th because 2024 is a leap year. So June 5th will be the 157th day of the year, and we know that that's the 37th prime number. And usually with the Stanley Cup, you just follow the 37s and the 136. Boom, it hits again and again and again. Like how this year Vegas won the Stanley Cup on 13/6, June 13th. For the record, this guy, Amirov, he's dead 62 days after the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup. Again, Stanley Cup Finals is 62, dead 57 days before the start of this year's Stanley Cup, or this year's NHL season, I should say. So one more piece I want to talk about here. The Oilers were established on June 22nd. That's a date the majority of the world writes 22/6. Again, the date this man died was the 226th day of the year. And June 22nd, that's the 173rd day of the year. And again, from Amirov's birthday to the final meeting between the Leafs and the Oilers on March 23rd is exactly 173 days. And one more thing I want to talk about in relation to the Raptors. Don't forget, Raptors equals 107, who won their only NBA Finals in their 24th season. Remember, that was the 73rd season of the NBA. This year will mark the Toronto Maple Leafs. It will mark their 73rd season in the playoffs. So we'll keep an eye on the Raptors this season and see what's going on there. But anyway, RIP to Rodion Amirov, and I will talk to everybody soon. Until next time, guys.